August 26th, 2024. This town of Crestone Board of Trustees meeting is being held both in person and via Zoom. The time is 9:33. To ensure timely completion of the town's business, the following procedures will be followed. All participants must keep their microphones muted, videos turned off, except during citizens' comments or when called on to speak by the board. Per section 7.3 of the procedures and rules of order, we allow 15 minutes total for citizens' comments. Each speaker has up to 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address before speaking. If your comments exceed 3 minutes or the allotted time expires, please send your comments to town hall as correspondence for the board's response. If multiple citizens share the same comment, please be brief. Unspoken comments may be submitted to town hall for inclusion as correspondence at the next regular meeting. Will you, roll call, Ariel, please?
Mayor Meyer,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tempore Kinney.
Here.
Trustee Lakai. Trustee Martinez.
Here.
Trustee Oglesby. Here. Trustee Pauluzzi.
Here. Next is our vision statement. Dana, would you read it, please?
Yes. Historic Crestone, Colorado exemplifies small mountain town beauty within a community committed to sustainable living practices and spiritual traditions. The town continues to celebrate its pioneering spirit and unique diversity through contemporary self-reliance. Crestone's goals are to enhance economic viability, environmental preservation, renewable energy use, and social responsibility.
Thank you. Next is our approval of agenda. Any changes, comments, concerns? I would like to move our reports after our new business being the Living Wisdom requested town board discussion. I'd like to put that as right off the bat, after we're done with citizens' comments.
What are
And
you
then,
putting after?
just new business 13A is gonna be moved right after citizens' comments. Everything else will follow after that.
Okay.
You toss me a pen too, Ariel. Sorry.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Dana, second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have approval of minutes, which will be done at the regular meeting. This is our special meeting. 6 is citizens' comments. Yeah. You can use the mic if you want. You have to switch it on though.
Good morning, I'm Gay,
Slide it up, slide it.
oh, okay, thank you. Good morning, I'm Daya Shadi, 463 East Lyme Avenue. I really appreciate you arranging the agenda, because I need to be back at school at 10:30, so it's perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up some concerns about the Living Wisdom project that's over on Lyme Avenue. There's been, you know, a lot of major inconvenience, lots of noise, lots and lots of disruption, which is all beside the point. The main thing is that they've got 2 foundations that are about 5 feet away from the road. I've got some emails and some photos I can share with you guys about that. But I'm very concerned about how close those buildings are. The road is already a narrow 29-foot road. It's a rural residential area. Setbacks are clearly 20 feet in the code, section 15, I believe. I warned them before they poured those foundations. I told their foreman, hey, those are definitely not 20 feet back. There's a situation right now. I don't see how you're gonna get fire trucks up there in the event of a fire. Very concerned about property values up there. I mean, that street's gonna look like an alley by the time they're done. So I understand, I've gotten some emails that are very confusing. They're trying to explain their logic of how they ended up, with 5-foot setbacks instead of 20-foot setbacks. And I've been, just kind of exploring options because really what I'm hoping is you guys are just gonna look out for me and like, those buildings have to be moved. Better to move them now before it's too late. I know it's gonna cost them some money, but that's a mistake they made. Otherwise, we're gonna have to, you know, talk to Attorney Walker and some other attorneys and see what we can do, because, you know, if that was happening on your street, there's no way you guys would let that happen. And I'm sure, the folks with the Living Wisdom Project also would agree that they would never let that happen on their own streets. So thank you again. I really appreciate you guys considering this and making it a priority today. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Dana, do you mind hitting the little got it button on the screen there? So I can see the center of that comment for it.
Is that on the bottom right?
No.
Yeah.
So. Any more citizens' comments? Anybody on Zoom would like to speak? Citizens' comments? Okay, we'll move on, since there is none.
Can I tell you what I just gave you guys? Some.
Okay, sure. Yeah, well, let's move on and we're gonna move to skip ahead and go to new business, number or letter A. And start there. So let me just brief everybody what I found out as far as kind of like the facts that I've seen. So we have an issue on our hands now, where we were told by Dea that there was, he was told specifically that he had to move his car early because the cement trucks were coming up there, and that's when he realized what was happening. I'm sure he saw some stuff happening before that, but that was the trigger. I found that on the plans that we originally had that's in our binder, the original plans, they show that the setbacks were honored, 20-foot setbacks were honored on those plans. Let's see. Does everybody have those? They can look at, they can see that on the original plan from 2021, that those setbacks were honored.
I did.
What?
So if you go down on in your packet and you look. There's no page number, but it's showing basically that the community building and the housing is here. So that's number one. So we had plans that were originally honoring the setbacks, and that was the very first plans we received before they switched over. There were letters in the packet as well, stating there was a couple things. The main one I saw said that the setbacks of 25 feet would be maintained, which was not what the code reads. It's 20 feet setback, so it says, let's see, find it for everybody.
I think they're on page 18. And 19.
For the drawings, but now he's referencing a letter.
The letter that we received stated. Six, the question, an explanation of the objectives to be achieved by the development, including building descriptions. Variations in building setbacks, height, parking, or other characteristics are sought. Sketches of elevation or other information may be required by the planning commission or ordinances of the town of Crestone. The CPCH board has been aligning with the requirements for high density district zoning while considering development of Living Wisdom Village. Parking for both residents, staff, guests will be on site. Setbacks will be maintained, or will be minimum of 24 feet, and building height will not exceed 30 feet. Access into the property will be from Lime Avenue. A rendering of the possible development is included with this application. Cluster housing will be most cost effective and will depend on housing model chosen by the board of directors. So that's number two. So we had that, when the plans, so we had a reapproval, happen because they had something come up where their contractor had to back out. And, we were told the town board and the planning commission were told that no changes to the footprint would occur. That it would stay the same. So if that's the case, then the original footprint, which was on page 18 that Kizen was referring to, shows that their setbacks were maintained.
Page 19.
19. Shows that the setbacks were maintained and that the footprint wouldn't change. So that was the next thing. The building application, I don't know. Let's see what page that is on, it's on 22, 21 and 22. States that there would be setback front 25 feet. Again, the setbacks for rural residential are 20 feet, but it says specifically on the application that they would be 25 feet.
How do you determine that's the front? Because that's where the entrance is.
That and also the letter says that the property will be from Lime Street. Access into the property will be from Lime Avenue.
Okay.
And that's the. The next thing was that the land in question, yeah, it's rural residential zoning. Rural residential setbacks are 20 feet on all sides. Setbacks on the property were infringed by 15 feet on the community building, and I'm not sure how much on the maintenance building, but was it similar?
It's a good 10 feet on the other one, I would say. I don't know which one's which. One is infringing a little bit more, but both are well within that setback by 10 to 15 feet, I would say.
Okay, the other issue is that Lime Street, because it was the edge of property, is only 29 feet. So a normal street is 60 feet. So you would have not only 31 extra feet plus the setbacks, so it would be you know, there would be a nice distance in there for cars to get through and various other things.
Somewhere in there, they mentioned they're expecting something like 85 cars a day. believe
I
that's what
didn't
they say.
find that, but yeah, 85 cars coming up on basically a one-way street is gonna be very tight. Coming and going. Yes,
I feel like one of the first things we need to know is where the actual boundary is. And in relation to your fence, and the way I see it right now, it's definitely that tree. And that whole 10-foot swath of land where the tree is, the piles of stuff are, is the town road. So I'm not sure where your fence is, and how we can verify this. And I think that needs to be verified to determine what current setback is happening.
Well, I think, our building inspector is supposed to come, however, they did a pretty good survey.
Bigger than our building inspection.
Correct, but they did a pretty good survey. And on their plans, it specifically shows the street is 29 feet. And it
Right.
specifically shows that they're, where does it end?
Where does it, yeah,
I mean, even if it's within 1 or 2 feet of the fence line,
when I stand up in front of Daya's house and look down, it appears that, I mean, it almost looks like they have a 20-foot setback. And that line is tapering off to the south there onto what looks like, I don't think their fence is the property.
their fence.
Right.
Well, when they did the survey, that the street was 29 feet. Exactly, and if you measure, I mean, if you look on their plans that they're using right now, which are these, I don't know if we have those, the newer plans. They're in the office.
Yeah.
I understand that the road is 29 feet. If you look at the parcel viewer for the county, you can see that it all tapers down. But I'm not sure in this case that Daya's fence is on Daya's property, on the property line or the town property.
But even if it was within 2 or 3 feet, it's still,
Well, what if Daya's fence is 5 to 10 feet on town property? That's what I would,
But wouldn't their setback be from the road?
well, it would be from, if the road's 29 feet, it would be from the road, but where is that 29-foot point? Where's the property line?
I have a question and comment. Why is Dave's fence
Why is Daya's fence what?
issue?
It's only a reference for where the property line is.
But they surveyed down their, what I guess would be their north property line on their side of the street. So all measurements would have been
Okay,
taken.
well, where's that point?
We can go out there and look at it.
That's what I would want to know.
Yeah, they could probably show it to you. It's been surveyed.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have where the actual property line road flat.
I know I've seen a lot of flags out there. I saw the surveyor out there. In a little bit of time that I've been there. And, follow this. It should be in the grounds.
Well, if what Adam's saying is correct, then the entire street needs to be moved. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yes. I'm not saying that that's what it is.
Yeah.
I would just want to know.
That's the question.
So. This is the plan that they're working off of. And so. This line. I guess that's kind of to your point, we don't know what they're referencing with this line.
But I don't think they're showing 5.
They're showing a 5-foot setback. Yeah, so whatever they're referencing, they have planned for a 5-foot setback.
So this is the setback line here, the dotted line.
No, this,
This is the road, this is the property line, and the dotted line is the setback line.
that's a 10-foot one, and a 20-foot one.
Okay,
see what, yeah,
But if you stand here. And look down, then this road is coming up and then it's diving down. And that's confusing, but.
Probably when,
So with the
school was
town-
built, they actually pulled back further and.
It's really hard to tell.
Well, I mean,
And,
the
and
survey-
this wouldn't look the same if that tree wasn't there. It wouldn't look like there's an 8-foot road, it would look like there's a.
But the idea,
You mean the tree that's right by my fence?
the idea with a 60-foot road is that you take the center line and then your actual road is, within that,
29 on either side.
Right, well, we have 20.
that road is only 29 foot from it. So if you're assuming that this survey is correct, and the survey that they did is correct, then this would be the street line right here. Going up the hill. Right?
Yeah, they've been surveying according to the documents that have been recorded for the establishment of that right of way. Nothing on the way it looks or anything like that. I mean, it's legal in the document, so regardless of where the road's at, where it is, fences at, where trees are at or whatever, they still have to go off that
That line.
north property line.
Right.
There's something,
Have you seen the taper on a map?
yes, yeah. The document, the engineering obviously is different from what the written documents are. But there was some preliminary engineering that was done first, and I think we still have those documents in the storage room here. We'll have to look at those and see if there was what was represented on the preliminary engineering, and if there was any change between the preliminary and the final, because that would narrow down the date when that was done.
Well, this document has a date of February 2023 on it. So, yeah, February 9th or 2024. This says February 9th, 2024, and the rest of the documentation is all sometime in 2023. And
I think there's something even prior to that.
yeah, and then there's 2021 designs. I think that there's documents going all the way back to 2019.
Do you know where
Drew.
the?
Drew, is Brent in the office?
I'm here, like Benji pointed out, we've got this plan that shows the community building respecting a 20-foot setback. And then there's this plan that, obviously shows the community building with a 5-foot setback. And I'm wondering, is anybody anybody sitting here familiar with this blueprint? Or is this the first time you feel you're seeing it?
They've been here, we've had them.
Right. But is this the first time, that y'all,
When they
that
were
you feel like you're becoming aware that this is the setback that they've chosen?
When those were delivered, we were told that
There were no changes.
there were no changes to the footprint.
And so that would then put the impression that if the community building had stayed in this 20-foot setback.
Right.
And yeah, and also with the building permit. That would have been the next time, I think, that the board would have run into the two things with the project. And it says 25-foot front setback, and in Dana's emails, there's this continued verbiage about how that is referring to the residential homes, but I don't understand why you would put on your building permit. You wouldn't put the most forward home.
Or building.
If you're talking about your front setback and you have many buildings, then to me, your front setback is to the closest building on your project. And I mean, I also live right across the street. So there's that,
There's a good reason to have setbacks.
yes.
At this point, I can't even walk up the street without, I have to get off the road if anybody else is coming down. There's not even room for a pedestrian and a Subaru, for example.
Yes, they're going to get trying to look for the old plans that we had, the original blueprints before these ones came out. And then, but I would like all the trustees to be here when you speak.
Okay, I didn't hear everything.
It's okay,
You want me to speak now?
no, not yet.
Okay.
Give it a sec.
Have you seen the taper? On my personal view?
I'm not sure. No, I don't.
Parcel viewer tends to be pretty much off.
This is weird, but you can see that the show that you wrote is on parallel.
Yeah.
Everything's wrong. Then.
Any luck?
No. They're somewhere, and I know they would have been thrown away.
Aren't they, didn't we find them in that folder that we were looking at?
No, it's a file. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's like a blueprint. It's not on top of that filing cabinet? Let me check.
Yeah, it'll be a roll every bit of.
It'll be that, okay?
Yeah. I think,
Oh, no. Where you really see this on the town map. Sorry.
I think. I wanna jump ahead here, but I think our purpose here today now would be to decide what to do.
Correct.
I mean, we could go through all these. We've got a lot of conflicting documents. Here, not a lot, but between what was written and what was drawn. We'll find the other drawings for sure. Which I think would be important because it would show that at some point it was changed. And, but I think it's more of a decision on whether we should talk now about talking to the attorney and how to proceed with this.
Right. Now, I would like Sam Pace to speak about what his findings.
I didn't.
And Dea didn't have a chance to explain further. Was there more that you wanted to speak of?
No, it sounds like you guys are on it. Just that, I get these weird logics from several representatives, one basically saying that implying that they own the road and therefore it doesn't matter how wide the road is, and then there's some other thing where it's basically saying they're exempt for some reason because it's a PUD.
Well, I was thinking about that, and then they're building their own road coming off of Lime Street. And I could understand on that part that they can determine what they want as far as their own setbacks. Even though they've deeded it to the town, so they actually have their own road going in that is gonna combine all of the different housing. However, the setbacks where it touches actual town property is the what we have before us. More so than their private road, or not private, but, what would I say, it's, their design, the road that they have being built, which they can. Because it's a PUD, they can determine their setbacks, but as far as the setbacks for the town, those have to be maintained.
Well, I'm glad, sorry, go ahead.
Even though it's a PUD, if they wanted to change the setbacks from our municipal code, it would still have been a request,
Yeah,
And
getting improvement.
yes, of course.
In that, and the documents that I looked through over the last couple of days, I've not seen that request.
Yeah,
So that's why I would say that this is going in a different direction, for sure, other than just discussion.
yeah. Well, thank you, because I definitely have a need to build a privacy fence there, and I was about to start that this coming weekend. And if Adam's, what he's pointing at, if that's the case, I really need to know where that line is.
Well, one thing is the parcel finder is a very poor lineup of how the
According to this, that's true.
parcel finder is not accurate at all.
Yeah.
It's probably 10 or 15 feet off in any direction, so if you're going off that, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend either getting like a ILC or a survey, which are expensive, obviously,
Okay, well,
or looking for actual markers in the ground, which are probably there.
Yeah, but those things move around. I mean, I found your pen by your corner, but when I built my fence. I guess I don't remember. I know there have been references to pens being moved around. And so we can't just find a piece of rebar with an orange flag and say, okay, that's that. I think the survey is necessary. I think if Living Wisdom's already done a survey, that we should reference that and or spend out of our money to find those lines.
Okay, pins that, the last survey pins, they will have a silver cap and stamped with the information on it and the date. Those are the pins you go by, cause that was the last survey, the survey did supersede all surveys. And as far as I know, they are correct.
But those are movable.
No,
No,
what Drew is saying is true. That when those surveys are done and those pins are established, it's just not looking down the corner and finding everybody's property line. They take those measurements from much further back and from the starting point.
Yes.
But they're movable.
not movable,
They're not,
and
I
especially,
How are they put in the ground?
believe they're anchored in the concrete.
I mean, I have, there's one that's like this big out where I am, and that is
Yeah.
definitely anchored in the ground.
So should there be one on the corner of my property somewhere?
Yes.
I think, and you know, we had to get a survey recently.
Oh, okay, so.
For, because when I started building.
I
Yeah,
have a little information about it.
yeah,
I found the, furthest to the east. Survey marker. And it's, you know, it's got a cap on it
Sorry, the north side or the south side of Lion Street?
next to, I believe it's your
Okay.
across the street. And that is, that one is closest to the community center that they are building. And I can measure from there, you know, approximately 29 feet. But there's a big pile of slab wood there that I have to move in order to really measure all the way over on the ground.
that's my fault, Sam. I can move it for you.
But I did attach the measurement to the top of the fence and pulled it across to where the foundation is started.
How,
And that was at the most 46 feet, and it's probably more like 45.
how close was the marker to the fence? Like how within,
It's right next to the fence,
so if you run it
it's
up,
right next to it.
But you're saying 45 feet from the fence to the slab,
To what they've already done.
so that's like a 16-foot setback versus a 5-foot setback.
We don't know that though.
Yeah, it's
According to
typically
that
2
one.
feet off, and you all have got to decide whether or not
But.
you want to enforce.
This back.
I mean, that's if it's
So my.
supposed to be 20 feet, which I believe it is according to the
And
rural
it's
residential.
this far off your fence.
So,
Yeah, but my fence is like
Listen, guys,
10 or 12 feet from.
we can't guess on this. We've
Right.
got to have a legitimate survey, which I know has been done on their side. And if it hasn't, then they've been remiss. We need a legitimate survey to show exactly where that property line's at,
Right,
whether it's narrow or wide or
totally.
right way or whatever. We got to find
they
it.
also have a surveyor going out there, and I was told almost every day.
Yes, I've
When they
seen,
started this project, they've been going out because they wanna get it exactly lined up to those plans. And so they have, you know, they are, if you're lining up to those plans, it is exactly where it's supposed to be.
well, they needed a survey out there as well to be able to establish the line for the sanitary sewer. Make sure that was gonna line up with all the yet to be built foundations. So you're right, he or she, whoever it's been, has been here quite a while, quite often.
So do we have a clear indication of the property line, how far in that foundation?
I would say no.
I would say no for own knowledge, but like Benji's saying, if they're building based exactly on these plans, then they're 5 feet from the setback, which would be the property line.
So
or
my,
the-
yeah, my question is, when I'm looking at, you know, the plans that were first submitted. And it shows the setback lines, it shows the property line, and then it shows the building set. Pretty much exactly on the setback line,
But then they submitted the next round.
And
it
then
shows
this
5
one-
feet.
right, and that's this one that's here. And it says that that was submitted in February of this year. And so I am trying to backtrack. If, and when I don't remember reviewing those particular plans, our building inspector signed off on that. But I'm wondering when this change took place. For the setback. When did this happen? And that change from what this drawing was to where this one that we now have.
That's the point, it was somewhere between, I think it was, 2021. I think that's when, I don't wanna do this from memory, I wanna be fine here, but I think that was the date of the drawing of the preliminary engineering. So between then and this drawing is when that change was made. So someone had to be directed to make that change.
I personally don't remember reviewing the setbacks here in a board meeting. I don't remember doing that. You know, I do remember that there was we approved a change. When the buildings went from a modular to a stick building. And, you know, we went ahead and approved, they couldn't do the modulars anymore, they were gonna have to do a stick building. And we were dealing with it, you know, as long as it's not more than a 20% change, that it didn't have to go back to the planning commission. And, we determined at that time that, you know, basically whether it was modular or stick building didn't make that big of a difference. So my question is I wonder if at that time, because of the change of the building, is when the new footprint was submitted.
Well,
And we,
that was,
and we approved.
if that was submitted.
I don't remember catching a change of the
There was
setback.
there was no request to review or request for any change in the setbacks, and what Dana has here on the computer, and you'll have it on yours, is the date on that drawing is 1/4/21.
Yeah. And then there's questions that were done on Friday, April 16th, 21.
So somewhere between then, someone authorized them to change the setback.
So, I mean, all around a really unfortunate situation. But I mean, I agree with Dennis's statement that, you know, we really need Seth to weigh in. I don't think, I'm certainly not qualified to know exactly how we proceed with this matter, but, you know, I think we need to make some sort of action steps to.
I was trying to find, if I could see when they actually changed the plans, if they've said in writing that they weren't changing footprint. I remember it was said, but I don't know if it was written.
But as far as like the property thing goes, would our most recent survey of the town not show us that?
And as Julie said earlier, there's big round caps, but not the orange caps that you see on the impact.
Right.
Really big ones, and they have the ordinance on And those are the most reliable.
When do you think that was done?
The last survey, yeah. When was the last survey done, the survey, field survey, performance? I have a copy of it if you like, I'll go get it.
Excellent.
Dave wants to say something.
Yeah, Dan, yes,
So I do need to get going and get back to my class, but, yeah, it sounds like. Maybe they're fine and the property lines are. You know, like maybe our side of the street should be the road. If that's the case, and you guys are gonna rework the whole street. I'd like to, you know, I'm about to build a new fence, if I need to move back, I could do that, but I'm gonna look for those pins. Am I allowed to have a fence on the property line, or does the fence need to be set back? I just
You can
want-
have it on the property line.
Okay. And then, sounds like potentially the whole road is gonna shift, or potentially. They fudge their drawings and you can build those
Yeah,
buildings.
I think it's somewhere in the middle,
Or somewhere in the middle,
is what I think.
okay, well,
I think they probably have a 16-foot setback.
Okay.
Which is, means I don't know why their plans say 5 foot, but
okay. But if as long as I find that post, that pin. And put my fence line there, I should be good,
I would bring up 2 or 3
yeah,
witnesses to
okay,
be like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think.
You
But
think
if
what?
we're gonna we end up moving the right of way. Maybe you wanna wait.
yeah.
I don't think-
Yeah,
I don't know
pretty
if that's
intense
gonna
over
be an
there right
option
now,
for us.
so-
I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'll get them to either way.
Okay.
So do you think there's another pin on the, west
I'm
edge
assuming,
of your property?
I'm assuming there's gotta be one on the southeast corner, right?
They're obvious.
That's the one I'm gonna look for, and then see if there's another one on the corner.
Which would be our boundary, yeah.
And run.
Okay,
It sounds like the one that Sam found is my most southeast corner,
Your southeast.
and so there should be another one.
Kind of.
Southwest.
It's right there at the corner of their fence,
Okay,
but that's not a big one, right?
okay.
Was it one of the stamped ones? Sam?
It seemed like it was stamped on the top, but it wasn't that like a corner boundary of the, you know, it was what the surveyors put in when they're doing properties.
Yeah, you might see those sometimes in the
You know,
middle of the
it's
street.
only about the size of a $50 or a quarter.
Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
okay, it's not the big.
The ones
fat-
I think that's the meters.
The ones that Drew and I are talking about, you might
Maybe.
see them in the middle
Should
of
we
the
take a-
intersection.
They're a
That's
big,
really,
they're a big fat thing. with
yeah,
the
they're
stamp.
about this big around.
Yeah,
Rusty or silver?
So that's, but
They have a
as
big-
far as I know, those were only put on the corners of the town boundaries,
yeah, is
so,
Yeah,
Okay,
you know, and,
that right?
oh, you know, if they're stamped by. Scott's old company, then
right,
they're probably not good anymore, because I think we use a different survey now.
well, I guess Warren's gonna go get the survey map, so maybe we can
Warren,
use that too.
I found the letter from July 24th, 2023, where it states that they wanted to change it. I'll read the whole letter. Per the municipal code, section 15.9.200, parentheses 1, I am writing to let you know that there has been a minor change in the Living Wisdom Village site plan submitted with PUD final development plan in March 2021. The housing manufacturer we have been working with for more than 2 years, Indie Dwell, closed its doors unexpectedly in late April 2023. This was a circumstance we could not have anticipated when the state Division of Housing Board reviewed the CPCH application in late April. They were aware of this situation and put a condition on our grant award that CPCH would have to be under contract with housing contractor by August 21st, 2023, with no other pre-manufactured housing suppliers having units of the size needed for the site. CPCH is working with Alcon Construction and the project architects Studio Complectativa to design units of similar size that could be built on site. The footprint of the new designs will be within 10% of the previously anticipated indie-dwell units. The use and density of the village remains the same as was approved by the PUD process. The municipal code states the planning commission will authorize this minor change in the plans. We currently anticipate that new designs will be completed and engineered stamped by mid-August, and that CPCH will apply for the necessary permits to begin construction in September 2023. The revised site plan will be submitted when the building permit is applied for. We thank you for blah, blah, blah. There you go. It says within 10% of a similar size, and the footprint is within 10%, and the use and density of the village remains the same.
So there, I mean, there's a chance that their change only led to a 10% change in the footprint, but the change from a 20-foot setback to a 5-foot setback. Like Dennis was saying, requires a variance, like, I mean, it's just that seems more significant than that letter leads on.
And right until it's number and GPS according. Well, GPS. Oh, no.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Ashley.
We have a copy of They're not just the edge of
So. Yeah, Dennis and Adam are right in that we need to get clear on exactly where it's. On it's.
They have, so your property is the second property,
Yes,
okay, so I found the western side.
for mine,
Yeah.
Their property is the corner.
yeah, on the corners of Hemlock Lane, and then Day is the next one, to the east.
Oh, so you have. Both houses, it's only.
No, I'm the one on the corner, and then Daya is my neighbor to the east, so it's two properties right there,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
all right.
Daya has the
So
right.
I found the mark that was surveyed. That goes in between the two properties,
I think so,
okay.
I think so.
Couple of weeks ago, I tried
Or,
to talk to them about getting the same place.
can we determine where this line is with that survey, Drew?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I mean, someone could, I couldn't.
Okay, do we need to get? Is Scott still doing stuff?
Well, my son is a contractor. And he was down, with my grandson, this weekend. And while we were having dinner, I was talking to him a little bit about this. And he said that the GPS that they use is very seldom accurate enough to, you know, rival an actual survey that's, you know, so. You know, that's what they told me in the. When I talked to the guy, he made me wear a hard hat and a thing to get on their property and stuff.
Sure.
So you know, he said that that's what they use GPS and lasers to find out where the property lines were and everything and do the setbacks. But it certainly doesn't seem to me like, you know, they're at least 3 or 4 feet short where they're putting a new community center, which is what it's called on the map.
When you say short, what do you mean 3 to 4 feet short?
Pardon?
When you say 3 to 4 feet short, what are you referring to? Are
Yeah,
you-
it isn't the volume, it's. I can't hear my brother
Oh.
either, hardly ever, because ever since he's grown his beard, I can't, you know, for some reason the hairs,
Well, I'm asking, when you said 3 to 4 feet short,
yeah.
what were you referring to 3 to 4 feet short?
I was only able to measure at the top. So I could see that it was, you know, it was at least 45. But probably not 46.
He thinks they're 3 to 4 feet short of a 20-foot setback, so he
Yeah.
thinks they have a 16, 17-foot setback.
That's what you'd asked me to measure,
Right,
so.
I mean, here I'm looking
And
at,
I've read the rural residential stuff, I mean, you know, the verbal part of it and,
so if you took a measurement from the street edge, which would be supposedly 29 feet, and then you added an extra 6 feet on top of that, that would be 35 feet. Is that,
No,
Well,
he's
that's-
saying that as far as he can tell, from the north side of the boundary of Lime Street, he's pulling 45 feet
to the,
to the footer.
okay,
yeah,
So that means that they would have a 16-foot setback.
Yeah.
Which isn't a 20-foot setback, but it's also not a 5-foot setback.
Then why do they think they have a 5-foot setback? You know, like, if
On their-
that, you know, there's not been any argument that, oh, we have actually had a 16-foot setback.
Well, I don't know that anybody on that screen has any idea what the setback is. It would be a conversation with the contractor,
Right.
and nobody's talking to him.
I was just
Or her.
one, a second ago, I had been out on this site like 2 weeks ago and asked for the constructed length of the sanitary sewer that they put in, and the people that I talked to in the trailer talked to their office, and the office told them that they couldn't give me that information without going to the general contractor, who probably would have gone to CPCH to get approval to give me the answer. My point here is that getting that information from those people about this particular situation might send you down the same rabbit hole with them.
I mean, I went and talked to John and Steve or whatever his name is, and, you know, they were friendly enough, but, you know, they were just like, we're following the plans, you know, that's pretty much all I could, the only conversation I could have with them was, you know, obviously they felt defensive. I told them that I didn't think that they were to blame and that I had no problem with them, but, you know, their stance is we're following the plans and that's our job.
So I think the key thing we really have to do is measure, get an accurate measurement. I mean, right now, we're just talking around and, yeah, you know, we have one set of plans, we have another set of plans, we have different numbers on the plans. But from the actual property line to the foundation, I think is crucial for us to need to know. Are we looking at 5 feet? Are we looking at 16 feet? Are we looking at 20 feet? We can't really proceed until we know exactly what that distance is.
I totally
Well,
agree.
if the pin that I went off of is correct. Okay, and you'll determine that when you get back up there. Because you'll be able to line it up with the old town can at the corner of the town. But I think that it's more like a 16-foot setback. Okay, rather than a 5-foot. And that's from the edge of the street. Now, when I realized that the street wasn't 60 feet wide and it was only 29 feet wide, then that made a big difference. They weren't building it in the road. They had. Now, I asked Morgan also, my son, whether or not he thought 3 or 4 feet was a decent approximation according to GPS. He didn't think so. He said, no, it's easily off by a foot or two, but it's not 3 or 4 feet. It seems, you know.
Right.
So. I don't. And they evidently pulled the old markers, so I couldn't check the boundaries that he has showed me when I went up there for the first inspection. I went up there to make sure they knew where the boundaries are, and the Kia met me over there and said that they knew where their boundaries were. Well, because they bought the whole 5 acres, she showed me the boundaries on the 5 acres.
So how do we get how do we check the line?
Personally, I think it's their responsibility to prove to us that they stayed within what was previously approved. I don't think we need to spend any money in that respect. However, I think we do need to tell our attorney all the details that we have and the differences in the drawings that we've seen, differences in what has been written and approved through plan commission and board meeting. And now what's being built.
It's page
We should be at least be aware of it. Maybe you can guide us as well.
I'm gonna. Read something that Kizan just pointed out. Page 13.
Let me see. Yeah, page 13, I heard that.
So page 13 of the packet, which is numbered page 6 on the actual page.
Mhm.
Trustee Lakai objected to the terms variance and conditional use pertaining to a tract 3 development and suggested changing the zoning from rural residential to medium density residential. Attorney Farish stated that neither conditional use nor a change to medium density is applicable in this situation. The PUD is simply an overlay on the residential zone, and those setbacks don't apply.
What the setbacks of a
Did you read?
medium density residential doesn't apply?
The PUD is simply an overlay on rural residential zone. And those setbacks don't apply. I don't know.
So that was that's in our packet here, that was included, and it was a planning commission special meeting, it was Monday, April 19th. 2021. And this is on page,
13,
excuse me, this was on March 1st, 2020. On March 1st, 2020, that was Board of Trustees meeting. And on March 9th of 2020, Board of Trustees meeting, that's our page 13 in our packet. And this is where you can see where I brought up a concern about the words variance and conditional use, and this is how our attorney replied.
I mean,
I-
it goes on to say that the PUD is simply an overlay on rural residential zone, the setbacks don't apply. A rural residential variance does not apply, as the PUD won't be divided into lots. Attorney Farish confirmed that the exemptions asked by CPCH are not applicable.
So I read that as Kism was like, oh, we should change that to medium density so that we can actually allow multiple residences versus one, which is what's allowed in rural residential.
Right.
And the attorney's saying, it doesn't matter what it's zoned, it's a PUD,
Right.
so setbacks don't.
When it says that.
I'm not saying that's the case, I'm saying that's what somebody said. The
So-
attorney said.
Then that let the issue of setbacks be what was included in the PUD. So it's saying with the PUD design, what was specified within the PUD design,
What is a,
rather than the zoning, rather than zoning applying, because it was a PUD that was overlaid on the property.
Mhm.
It's what is decided within the PUD rather than what would be rural residential zoning. Cause the fact the PUD changed the whole nature of the rural residential by having multiple houses and all.
In our PUD
And
requirements,
so it refers back to what was in the agreement of the PUD.
Right, which, based off the original design that was approved, was the 20-foot setback.
we do have requirements in our PUD portion of
Yeah.
our code though.
it's in the binder and it says something about. Let's see. So the final development plan must contain insofar as applicable the following minimum information in graphic or written form. And. Let's see. Wait, that's not one, sorry.
So if they were 16 feet setback, what would y'all wanna do versus if they were 5 foot setback?
So,
My technical answer would be they would have to apply even though it's after the fact for variance.
For the 4 feet? And would you say the same for 15 feet? If they're only 5 foot setback,
Yeah,
apply for a variance.
right.
They can't.
Well, and let me,
Self-inflicted issue, not a topography.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a self-inflicted issue, not one of topography.
That's correct. No, that's right. That's what our Board of Adjustments says, right?
But we well, whatever.
I know. Somehow it would have to be legally corrected. Is the way I guess is what I should have said.
Regardless, for you, if it's 16 or 5.
Right.
And what about?
Our municipal code says 20 feet. Their original plan said 25.
So, if I may, I don't feel like I can make any kind of a decision on this issue at all. Without knowing, without having an accurate measurement. I just feel like right now, we're just sort of spinning our wheels until we have that. I mean, if we go and we measure and we see that it's a 20-foot setback, we're all good. And if we see that it's 16 feet, we have to decide, is that good enough? If we see that it's 5 foot, then the board needs to make decisions, but I don't feel like I can make any kind of decision without accurate information on what's the actual distance that we're talking about.
Yeah, which is, again, I asked, how do we get that accurate measurement? Do we need to get a survey? Do we need to get a surveyor out here? Do we trust these pins? Do we just go out there and find pins and shoot lasers and make measurements, like, to what degree do we do whatever they did?
So we have a town engineer. And I think consulting with our town engineer and
Okay.
asking for an accurate measurement. Is probably us doing due diligence on this issue.
Okay,
I think the onus is on them. Not us. If we were beyond this and maybe in a court situation, I could see that. But right now, we're just trying to get information. But they've had surveyors doing layout work there. Almost from the day they started construction. They can give us that information. It would be up to us whether we're gonna believe it or not.
I do think
But
that,
that's their license.
I do think we should, I think we should get our own with the town engineer and get them to show us what they're using. And I agree that that the onus is on them, but besides the fact of like potential mismeasurements or wherever property boundaries are, I feel like a lot of the documentation is misleading from them, and so I don't trust them. And they, they think they're in a 5-foot setback and chose to do that, so I do think we should get
Not to,
our own person to do this.
not to argue with you, Dana, but it's not whether, it's the, writing of the document or the interpretation of the plans is the issue. The issue right now is solely, where is the closest corner of that concrete foundation to the property line?
Totally.
Is it 5 feet or is it 16 feet or whatever? That in itself is just the one important issue right now.
I would also disagree, not to argue, but I think the lack of communication around the change in plans from 20-foot or 25-foot to 5-foot is a very, very important issue.
It is. It sure is.
And I think that maybe to a certain degree, it was our responsibility to find that, but it was also very clearly communicated in writing that nothing was changing except for who the builder was.
Yeah. So.
Is there anybody on the CPCH board that can speak to that change from 20 to 25 feet to 5-foot setback?
On what board?
CPCH,
Kirsten and Akita are here.
Would anybody on CPCH like to speak?
Hey Benjamin, this is Rick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're trying to adjust the speaker to go on to the main speaker. One sec.
Sure.
There we go. Now I can hear you.
and really specifically to that point,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat in a second, Adam. I just want to make clear, because I'm not sure everybody knows who's here. Kirsten Schreiber, board chair, is here. Julia Voss, vice chair. Myself, treasurer. And then Denise Payne, secretary, Richard Sanderson, member at large. So our whole board is on the call, as is Akia.
so my question is. In 2020 or 2021, we were presented with very detailed plans that showed a 20-foot setback. For the community building to the north boundary. And then in February of this year, we were submitted a change, which in writing indicated the only change was the manufacturing technique for the buildings and that nothing else was changing. But in the plans that were presented, there was then a 5-foot setback versus a 20-foot setback on the north side.
Okay, I understand the question, Adam, and just to be clear, I don't have an answer to that. I joined this board in September of 2023. Benjamin asked if anybody on the call wanted to speak, so I came on. And I just will take a few minutes. Mostly we're attending your meeting to listen, to hear concerns, and to gather information. Our board, like you trustees, I believe, in large part, you know, relies on expert information and third parties to guide us. And I can see in our packet alone, I can see a progression, and I have to lead by saying I'm not an attorney, obviously, nor am I a surveyor. And so I lack a lot of the expertise to speak definitively about the issues at hand. And I agree with a lot of the commentary that I have heard that stipulates that, you know, everything will flow from definitively understanding property lines out there. And perhaps that needs to happen on both sides of the street. And that's, you know, I believe all parties need their own expert opinions as well. I have experience in my professional work with surveyors, and they are human. I will just leave it at that. And so I do encourage everybody to get expert information. I'm not saying we don't have it. We have ours, which we have deemed reliable. Anyway, I just wanted to lead with that. I think in our roles, similar to yours, we are, you know, relying on experts, and we are absorbing information and learning at all times. And I don't believe that there was anything malicious. I've certainly been a part of this the last almost 12 months. And I can see there's a progression in the PUD application. I am not an expert on crafting those or enforcing those, but the initial PUD has an unstamped site plan, and there is language in there that speaks to, you know, a finalized plan. And those are different. We are both looking at those today. And I guess that's, you know, that's as much as I can say. I'm objectively trying to learn here and listen. I mean, I say learn your position, and listen, and then we as a board and a project, you know, we are here as volunteer board members trying to, you know, put in for the public good, affordable housing for seniors. We are not intending to upset the town. We're not intending to encroach anywhere. And so certainly our hearts and our spirits are in a good place. And you know, legally, if that is another realm, it's one I can't speak to. And so anyway, in short, Adam, I can't answer your question. I can see the final site plan that was submitted as part of the building permit and approved. I can see what's come in with the PUD in the past. And so we are here in good faith to listen and, you know, problem solve. That is what we do, just like you. So thank you very much, all.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Does anyone else on CPCH have, specifically something related to Adam's question?
I can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, all of you. Feeling this I'll just say all of us. Yeah, and I just want to say that, you know, the moment this was approved, we were totally, I'll also repeat what Rick said, in good faith, that this is okay what we are doing, and we are moving ahead with that. It's like can't possibly, I don't even know what to say. This has been a process of 8 years that I'm in this, and as you know, a volunteer like most of you, just giving my time to this, and really happy we made it this far. And now we're running into this glitch here. I hope we can resolve it easily, but yeah, that's all I can say. We can, that's it. We can't make changes. We're just, I don't know, can't say anything else. Sorry. Thank
Can I
you.
ask,
Thank you.
if I could ask, I think Akia and Houston, a specific question then. When I might get the dates wrong, so forgive me, but let's just say 2020, 2021, when you were presented with the plans that showed the 20-foot setback, you reviewed to the best of your technical ability, we reviewed to the best of our technical ability, we all agreed later when you had to pursue the change order for the manufacturing technique, did you
Mhm.
request prints from a different architect or engineer or company, or did you request prints from the same person who had provided you the 2020 plans?
Akia, can you answer that? I believe it was somebody else. That's what I remember. Definitely. But
No, we worked with the same architect.
Studio Completiva.
Yes,
oh,
And
that's
you-
what you mean. Okay.
You told that architect's the one who provided the site plan, I presume? And so then I'm asking here, you then told that architect that we need these plans reworked, but we're gonna have a different housing manufacturer? Or did anybody say?
I can't speak to that. I don't remember. There were so many different iterations and changes or things we had to deal with in the whole process. And I'll just go back, is that we really believe that we got this building permit and this approval, and we have to stay with it.
Well,
I don't know what happened at the time, and yeah.
I have a specific question in that between the first set of plans in 2021, it shows a community building with a 20-foot setback, and it seems like that community building is smaller than what is on this site plan. So I'm wondering if who directed, or if you remember directing the architects to redesign the community building with a different setback.
Mhm. I don't remember. I don't know when that happened. By the way, it seems like you haven't unmuted Akia. Can you do that?
Oh. Do we have a key? Is Akia muted?
She should be able to unmute herself.
Akia needs to unmute herself. We do not have her muted.
Okay. Looks like it's not working because she's telling me she can't.
We just heard her speak before.
She spoke, I'm not sure what changed.
Mhm.
Akia, can you hear us?
Now she's on.
now I'm on.
Did you hear what we were saying, Akia?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have anything to say, to
What
those
was-
points?
sorry, I was trying to get unmuted. I don't recall what the question was, but I think it was, did we direct the architect to change the setback on the community center? And the answer is no. We did not.
So not that we're in a blame game, but if we were to be trying to affix responsibility to a party, it sounds like the architect.
I can't address that.
I have a letter from July 24th, 2023, and it states the footprint of the new design will be within 10% of the previously anticipated individual units. The use and density of the village remains the same as was approved in the PUD process. The municipal code states that the planning commission must authorize this minor change in the plans. And I remember it came before us as a minor change. And that we were kind of basing our assessment on the fact that it was no change to the use or the density or even the footprint of these plans. That it was kind of just that set forth as a minor change between one plan and the next. But as we're seeing, you know, on the original plans, it showed a 20-foot setback, and then on these plans, it's showing a 5-foot setback.
However, on the plans that were approved
in
by the
PUD.
plan commission twice, and the plans that were approved by the board of trustees twice, these are the plans that are being developed. There has not been any change to the plans that the town approved.
According to the PUD, there is a change, so the
Okay.
original PUD shows a difference.
I can't sit here and argue, Benjamin.
Well, I'm not arguing, I'm telling you that we have the plans we have the whole PUD in front of us. And it shows specifically that they were inside the boundaries of the setbacks on the original plans of the PUD.
But the ones that we have here now that you approved and were then followed by the building permit, right? They are these plans.
All I'm saying is that when we approved them the second time, there was, we were told that there wasn't any changes to the footprint. That it was the same plans as the original PUD, which shows that they're inside the 20-foot setback.
And from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that under that kind of verbal agreement, the plans didn't have to go back to the planning commission in order to expedite the process, under the understanding that there were no major changes.
Right.
So there was a concession given to the project with the trust and understanding that there were no major changes that needed to be reviewed. So I think that that is just, a prescient point. And I would say that a change from a 20-foot to a 5-foot setback is a big difference, especially as you guys have pointed out, the road is so narrow.
You guys want me to go up and with my 100-foot metal tape and find out exactly where the boundaries are?
I mean, that, again, we're coming back to this issue where we need to actually have proper information. And I don't think that that actually changes my opinion of what has happened, because the project is under the impression that it's a 5-foot setback. And like that is, and maybe it's not, and you know, that would just be kind of lucky for the project. But still the impression to me is the same, but we do need to find out what the actual boundary is. And so we're back to that and how we best want to accomplish that goal. Town engineer sounds like a good step for me, and then I also think maybe if CPCH can get us in touch with their surveyor, I guess. And we can see how their surveyor took this measurement. Potentially.
And have they halted construction on that building?
That's a dumb question.
Akia, do you know if they've halted construction on that building?
Well.
Wait, I was asking Akia.
You can't really.
Yeah, I mean, if I know
Well,
that the width from the boundaries is just 29 feet, then I'll know where the other boundary is. You know, to measure the setback, but.
I wouldn't trust the pen on the north side of the road enough for this conversation. But Akia, do you know if they've halted construction on that building?
Well,
Hold on, I'm asking Akia a question.
yeah.
Hold on, Sam, we're asking you.
I know, I
Okay,
understand.
cool.
Kirsten, do you know if they've halted construction on that building? Kinda looks like it all froze.
Can
Can
anybody?
you guys hear us? Rick, can anybody hear us? Denise, can you hear us? Julie, can you hear us?
Is Matt on there?
Matt Lit, can you hear us?
We restart.
Sure.
There's no noise.
Oh, wait, Rick is calling me now.
Oh, good.
Are you guys frozen?
Your host is not allowing. So you're not gonna be here to find, but we're at no power. Unmute ourselves.
They all have the ability, I can see it right here.
Is what it said.
Right. The best I can do is like restart the
Yeah.
meeting.
This.
We're
it's here.
not
That should be.
able, yeah.
Or including.
We don't know what's wrong. We're having a technical difficulty because she's saying that it's wide open for you guys to be able to speak.
And this was. Here.
We
Can they
restarted.
still hear you?
Yeah, he said they can hear him.
Okay,
She-
so I'm gonna restart the meeting and they can come in with the same meeting number.
Okay, we're gonna restart this meeting. Unfortunately, everybody has to join back up. So let that happen.